Hi everybody, my name is Jamie and I am the Board Game Man. Today we're going to look at a game from 1973. I'm going to try my best to show you how to play this because I got this in an estate sale and of course it did not have the instructions. So I actually had to go online and do a little bit of homework trying to figure out what the instructions were, and it's a pretty simple game, roll and move for the most part. I did find one video on it, that's it. So there's many different versions of this game, but this is an older version than a lot of the other ones I found. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot. It is called The Great Game of Britain. So let's head on over to the gamers table, and I'll show you how to play. Hello everybody and welcome to the Gamers Table. Here is this version of The Great Game of Britain. Like I said, this is the one from 1973. I've seen probably at least 3 or 4 different versions of this game, many with multiple colors. This one only has red and black, and then you have a solid red here, like a different color red, almost like a burgundy color, and then you also have some shipping lines that are here for a couple areas that you might have to go to and whatnot. And so there's probably at least 3 or 4 different versions that I saw. So, but they all kind of play around the same way. Components in the game. You have these little black chips that are in the game. This what each player receives 2 of these, and I'll show you what those go. We have 1 die. We also have these markers. Now these markers, I was just recently in England, October of 19, and I was out there for 10 days and just had a blast. It was so much fun. I got married at the end of September, and then a week later, we flew out to England, was out there for 10 days, visited a couple friends out there that showed us a wonderful time, and it was great. So it just so happened it was not too long after that when I actually found this game in an estate sale. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get it. So these are actually the symbols of the railroad that are out there. So these are the different railroads. This is the actual icon that they use on maps. So that's kind of cool. As soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the railroad. I know this all too well. So anyhow, what you're going to do, and then you have these blue cards, which are destination cards, and you also have red cards, okay? Each player is going to start off with 3 blue cards and 3 red cards to start off the game. So you can take blue, 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 and red, red, red. And we'll say, since it's a 2-player, we'll call it a 2-player. This player will also get 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and then the rest of the cards are no longer needed. You can put these back into the box since you no longer need those. And there are also the hazard cards. Here are the hazard cards. Every time you get a hazard card, you have to read it and you have to do what it says. The only time you draw a hazard card is when you change lines. So for instance, you got these red lines. As long as you're traveling along the red lines, you're good to go. Unless you have to travel a black line. So you got the black lines here, which are the local lines. These are all the intercity services. But as soon as you try, like say you need to get to Fishguard here, what you have to do is when you come down this way, you're going to have to go on a black line and then back on a red line. So every time you change the color line, you have to draw a hazard card. There's also these red lines here. You can't really tell unless you really look at it. I don't think you can really tell from the camera. These are also Sea-Link shipping lines. You can see up here. And these are also a different kind of line. And then you have these dotted lines up here. These are other shipping lines that are up in this area. The triangles are the stations for sites. So these are actually the ones that are on the cards. And then just the dots are other stations. Okay. So what you're going to do is... Whoops. Whoa. Sorry about that. Kicked the camera there. We're going to go ahead and take 2 of these colors. You're going to start in London. This is where you start the game. So you put blue here, and let's just say yellow. All right, so blue and yellow. We'll put the other remaining. Now, I'm not sure if I'm missing one of these. I don't know if this is a 2 to 5 player game or a 6. I didn't look that up before, but I do have 5 of them, so I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up. See if I'm even missing one of these or not. Since I am missing instructions, you never know. And then each player will receive 2 of these little black chips. These are little blockers. So what happens is, let me put, because we need 2 of each, I'll put the rest of these back in the baggie that the game did not have, so I had to actually get a Ziploc bag and put this stuff in. It was all loose on the bottom of the box, and they were all over the place, so I didn't want to lose any of these. There we go. And what you're going to do is each player is going to look and see where he or she needs to go. So for instance, in player 1, blue, there's, like I said, there's 3 blue and 3 reds that you have to complete. So in this case, you got to see the Loch Ness Monster, which is on Inverness. So it will actually tell you on the board where this is at. And there's also a picture of it as well. So you see the Loch Ness Monster is all the way up here. Inverness is all the way up here. Then you have Devil's Bridge. And it won't say Devil's Bridge on here. It'll just say the railroad stop. That's where it's going to be. So here's the, you can see there's the Devil's Bridge. So they have the picture matches on the board, which is really nice. Then you have Belfast. And Belfast has got to be Belfast. So it's going to be, let's see, where is Belfast going to be on the board here? Here it is right here. Okay, so you're going to have to do a different line to get over to that. So that's going to... Then you have Stonehenge. I loved Stonehenge. It was actually pretty cool. I know it's just a bunch of stones, but I got to see this when I went out there, and it's amazing to see. It's one of those bucket list things. I mean, you go there, you're like, ooh, yay, and then after you're done, you're like, oh, stones. But you know what? It was fun to be able to say I was there and got my picture in front of them. It's amazing. So you can see it's Salisbury. So what you're going to do is you're going to look for Salisbury, which is right here. So you're actually very close. So this is one he gets to go to. Then you also have Cambridge. I actually had the luxury of seeing Cambridge as well, and what a beautiful, beautiful school. Very, very awesome. So Cambridge is right here. This is almost unfair. So you have Cambridge is right here, which is literally 2 spaces away. And the Roman Baths, which I also got to see. If you ever go to England and go to Bath, it is amazing. My mouth dropped when I went and saw Bath. But anyway, Roman Baths is the other one, and so on. So these are the 6 items that player 1 needs to go to. Player 2 is going to go for the Dover Cliffs, Oxford, Dartmoor, Balmoral Castle, Cornwall, and Isle of Lewis. And like I said, they're going to have the picture that's going to correspond to the board. Okay, so this is how this works. Each player has these 2 little dots here. You're going to place them anywhere on the board except for a major landmark. So a landmark that you're trying to get to. You are not allowed to block that from someone. They need to be able to get there. But what you can do is you're going to use this on any of the smaller little black dots where you think you're not going to have to go because you can block yourself. So you got to be careful. So you put these anywhere on the board. So, and of course, you're not going to know where the other player needs to go. So say I'm going to put one here, and then player 1's going to put one here, and then player 2 will put one here, and put one here. So those are blocked. So what you can do is you either have to go around them, okay, or if you're heading that way and you roll a 6, if you roll a 6, you're able to blow through that blockade, and then you are able to put that anywhere else on the board that you want to do. So a 6 is a pretty powerful roll in this game. But that's the only way you can actually pick up and remove one, unless you get a hazard card that tells you you can remove one. Then you can do that. That's the only 2 ways you can remove and move a blockade. So let's see. So we got player 1. We're going to go ahead and put these face up so we know what we're doing here. Obviously, you wouldn't do this during the game. Obviously, you don't want the other player to know where you have to go. So we're going to put these like this, and so on. And then player 2 will have his 6 places he needs to get to. So player 1 is blue. Let's go for it. So player 1 is going to be blue. That's going to be 2. So just like that, he gets 1, 2. He is at Cambridge. So just like that, one of his cards is now taken care of. So just like that. And what's kind of cool, too, is they actually have a little something about the area, which is nice, too. So that's pretty cool if they have a little, if you're into like knowing the places and what they're all about, a little knowledge of the place. I think that's really cool. So player 1 is going to put that aside. His turn is over. Now, you do not have to roll an exact roll. So say I had rolled a 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, I could just stop right there and say I found my place, and then you end your turn, just like that. So yellow, let's see what yellow is going to do here. Yellow rolls a 1. That's not going to help very much. Okay. Now let's see. Where is he going to go here? He's going to try to see where he's going. What is the closest thing to him? And let's see. Well, one's not going to really get you too far, so we'll just go 1 here. So blue is going to go 2. So blue's got to go back because he has Roman baths and Stonehenge, so he wants to go back to here, and then he's got Bath here. My goodness. So he's just going to go back 2. He's going to go 1, 2. He's back to London. Then yellow is going to go 6. So right now he can blow past this if he wants to. 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, 5, 6. Now he gets to remove that. He gets to place this anywhere he wants to on the board. Now he does not know where blue's going. So say he just goes, I'm going to put it right here. Okay. All right. Yellow's done. Blue continues on with a 6. Obviously he's going to try to go here, so he's going to go 1, 2, 3, and 4. Salisbury. That is going to take care of Stonehenge, because it has Salisbury on the bottom. So that tells you what stop you need to be at in order to get your card. So Stonehenge is now taken care of. That's 2 down for player 1. So you kind of get the gist of it. Let me show you some of the hazard cards. Sometimes they can go for you. Sometimes they can go against you. So for instance, let's go to the top card. You have taken the wrong train. Go back to London. Okay, that can be a pretty bad one. Especially if you got the one, like I said, the one in Loch Ness Monster way up here. And you're just about there and you grab this. When you change, say you change from black to red and you grab this, that would be horrible. You have to go all the way back to London. So that's one of them. Another one here, you are a model passenger. Take 3 consecutive turns. So that's a big one. And then let's look at one more here. You are a nuisance. Miss 2 turns while arguing with the station manager. So you can see there's all sorts of different kinds of hazards in the pile. So yeah, that's pretty crazy. There's all sorts of different ones in here. You are feeling generous. Send 2 players on a day trip to Grimsby. So stuff like that. So, or sometimes they have to meet you where you're at. So say I'm like all the way up here at Edinburgh, and all of a sudden they're almost one way, and then I say, oh, have your friends meet you over where you're at. Then they all have to go in the same spot you do. So I know there's some of those cards in there as well. So there's your hazard cards is what those are called. So pretty much that's the gist of the game. You're rolling and moving. You're trying to get to the spaces that are on your cards. The first player to gather all 6 of their areas that they have to visit and then make it back to London wins the game.